I recently had a chance to sit down with Joe Powers. He is the new chair of the Rhode Island Republican Party. Here is our entire conversation. So this position has been challenging in the best of times. What made you want to go for the chairmanship?
You know, I saw early on all the challenges that they had with the Republican Party, with politics as a whole in the state of Rhode Island. And I saw the amount of work that former chairwoman Susie Yankee, now current National Committee woman Sankey, had done, and all the foundation that she had laid, and the implementation of the executive director, Jesus Solario, the amount of work that they put together and how much work that they had worked on. And I just still saw that there was an opportunity to continue to build on what they had. And I'm in business right now where I do a lot of systems analyst and a lot of planning. And I saw that there was an opportunity for me to lend not only leadership skills, but opportunities to help build a business, which is basically what politics is from the foundation up. And I really wanted to take a whack at it and see what it is I could do. And the more I talked to people before the election, the more it just seemed more intriguing to me and more of a pretty good challenge for me to go after. And I decided I was just going to do this thing.
So Leanne went over to the Senate, and then Sue decided to run. And look, she put in her time and understanding all that. Did this come together pretty quickly, or is this something that you were thinking about at some point when she leaves, I might be interested in this? Or did she leave and then the wheels started spinning with you?
I'd say the latter of the two. I never really saw myself taking on a position like this when I first got started. And quite honestly, it was probably about a year ago of really getting involved with politics. But when the opportunity arose and Chairwoman Yankee actually announced that she was going to be going after the other position, it opened up and the conversation started. And then it got a little crazy, and then my brain started going, and then I was approached and we started talking to a couple of people, and I just thought it would have been a great idea.
I was intrigued by what I read, your comments to say, quality, not necessarily quantity. And I gave Susie Yankee props for filling a lot of those positions that had gone uncontested for years and years and years. And I'm sure the ultimate result was disappointing, but that's the first time we'd had that many Republicans. What did you learn from the election cycle in 2022?
Well, I would have to start with the data. There was so many different people coming in. There was so many different moving parts. There was a huge opportunity not only to gain seats, but also to collect a lot of information that could help us in the future. For us to be able to say we put up 50, 60, 70 people and that all 50, 60, or 70 people are going to get in, that's a long shot. It's a great option, and it's a great opportunity to do. And if we can do it, that's great. But I think the opportunity we had was to use that as a launching point. The way that I saw it is being able to get as much information as possible so that further down the line, to integrate what you had said is quality over quantity, is for us to be able to identify what exactly it is Rhode Island needs from leadership, and then identify those candidates, use the data that we have and find the right candidates to actually start stepping into positions so we can actually start taking, Rhode Island in more positive steps.
Do you start by looking at all the races in 2022 and see who came the closest? And then you have incumbents. It may have been an open seat, so that's a little bit different dynamic. But you had people who made a pretty good showing, and maybe you want to go back to them, or that's a district that might be vulnerable. Is that what you're talking about, data-driven?
Yeah, I did, and that's a great point. It's if you take a look at the people who actually showed up, myself included, all of us were in the 40 percentile, and a good number of us only had 5-6 months running into this thing. We didn't have a year or two to prepare. A lot of us came in at the last minute, myself included. People like Marie Hopkins, people like Dana Traversi, people like Alan Myers came very, very close. You had Nyoka Powell put up an amazing run in Providence nonetheless. But we kind of look at it now saying we know where we are at. We got ourselves to the 43%, 45%, 46%. We really only need 7%, 4%, and 5% more for us to get us over the hump. So we laid the foundation in each of the markets and in each of the areas. And now we're just going to take and go to the next level and just push it right over the top. That's where our concentration will be.
You ran against a pretty entrenched Democrat Senator Lombardi, right? And so what prompted you to run? Were you recruited, or why did you make that run? And that was your first run, right?
That was my first run.
You never run for council. You never run for school committee.
No.
Why did you start with state senate?
I saw an opportunity. To make an impact. I'm that kind of guy that if I come in, it's not going to be something subtle. Although when I did take this position, I have some people who are paying attention to what it is that I say and where I say it. But when I started to run, I ran because there was one thing in particular. There was a co-sponsored bill talking about the vaccine, talking about fining people on a monthly basis, property taxes, all this fun stuff. And it didn't wash right with me. I did get a phone call from a friend of mine who said, are you in this district? You need to do this. And I kind of laughed it off. And then the more I thought about it, I thought to myself, yeah, this isn't right. This is something that shouldn't happen. So I set up some time. I talked with Chairwoman Susie Yankee. I talked with the Executive Director Solario. And I saw what my opportunity was. I knew what I was up against. I know, I'm from the area, District 26 in Western Cranston. I know what was going on. I just knew it was going to be a lot of work. It was just going to be whether or not I was going to have the time and the ability to actually do it. And I actually did. I slammed and ran the entire time. In 6 months, I pretty much hit every single door, knocked on every single door, talked to as many constituents as possible. And I think that right there kind of catapulted me into, I could do this. I was always that guy younger, somebody said, you should run for mayor. And the joke is always, no, you don't want me as mayor. You don't want me in office. You don't want me at that. But, this time I decided I'm going to go for it.
What was it as a candidate that now you're in the chairman's position, what would you have liked from the party as a candidate that maybe now you can do as a chairman for candidates who come to you?
Great question. So it's everything that we want to implement right up front. This is no dig on anybody who was in the party or running the party at the time. It's just that there were so many new people that were showing up. We all had the basic questions, simple questions, palm cards, business cards, social media. How do you do this? What's the best way to talk to potential constituents? How do you answer these types of questions? There was so many different moving parts. Chairwoman Yankee at the time, I made the joke to her that you almost look like an octopus on roller skates. You're being pulled all over the place. One of the things that I think foundationally from a business standpoint, and I keep using the word foundation, but it's true, is having some sort of a basics manual, something that shows people this is how you get started. I don't know if you've gone through the information regarding for the election board, but you have the forms that you have to fill out just to get on. It's pretty extensive. So you have 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and then you have to do your bank account, then you have to do your LLC. Most people don't do that stuff. So had there been a little bit more of a structure of a base to say, okay, you want to run? This is what you're looking for. This is what you want to do. By the way, here you go. This is what you need in order to get started. This is how you get it done. And you have any questions, come grab us. We'll walk and talk you through it. That's the only thing I think I was missing.
Operation Clean Government used to do that, maybe not from all the financial, but they used to have that all-day ceremony down, not ceremony, they used to have the all-day seminar down at the O Club down in North Kingstown, and that answered a lot. It's interesting you're saying that, because if you're coming into it fresh, there's a lot of things that incumbents take for granted that are coming in, it's like drinking out of a fire hose, right?
Oh, sure. And you know what? They did that with the Republican Party as well. They hosted classes. They would do all-day classes. However, some people who got in late, like I didn't start until I think it was April or May of last year. And when I first walked in, they already had 2 or 3 trainings that I wasn't privy to. I just thought maybe if there was some sort of foundational paperwork that you could be looking at, which is what we're designing right now, that you could just be handed a book or a binder, the how-tos, the what's, and things like that.
Money's always a challenge. How do you raise money to fund your candidates and to fund the party?
How do we do that? Well, it's going to be fundraising, of course. There's going to be different things that we should be working on. One in particular, we had Kellyanne Conway had come out with her book, and we did a gathering there. We've already been discussing the different types of fundraisers that we're going to put together. I'll give it to you this way, Jim. I'll take what you're asking here one step further. I'm a businessman. I've been in real estate investing for a while. I'm the type of person that I think people should be getting an expectation of return on their investment. So what we want to do is we want to create a party that people are going to want to invest in. They're going to see a return based on the candidates that we put up, based on the information that we're going to be able to host for them. We're not just going to raise money for the sake of raising money. And politicians walk around with their hands open because money is what's going to, make the party move. And that's all political parties. That's not just, Republican Central. But the intention is to get people to the point where they realize that this is something they should be investing in, because for the sake of the future, for the sake of the political parties in the state of Rhode Island, which right now has been won primarily the last 80 years, we want to show that this is the place for them to make an investment that we're going to be make an impact for them moving forward.
Republicans have done well on statewide offices and targeted offices over the years. And if you look at going back to Ed Dupree, You had DePrete for all those years. You had Almond for all those years, and Don Kachiri. That was a pretty good chunk of Republicans. But the last Attorney General was Jeff Pine. Nancy Mayer is General Treasurer. Maybe it goes back to Susie Farmer for Secretary of State. So, and I think part of that is the Republican Party has changed. And I read your views as opposed to, I would say you stand out, I mean, clearly to the right of where most of Rhode Island is, but you're pro-life, pretty strong on Second Amendment, sure. And I read about back pay and getting rid of the vaccine mandates. So that's to the right of where a lot of these districts are. And I know those are your personal views, but how do you make inroads with a Republican Party that is viewed, I think, by a lot of people in Rhode Island as maybe a little bit to the right of where it was than when John Chafee was senator? Again, granted, all those years ago. It's a bit of a balance to try to bring in those independent voters, isn't it?
Oh, it sure is. But, you know, that's the beauty of being the chair is I'm not the one that they're electing. It's the candidates that are
But you have to have a platform.
We do have a platform, but the idea behind it is for us to be able to reach all the way to the right and all the way to the center and kind of bring that messaging so that it is more palpable for Rhode Islanders to actually swallow. To show them exactly what it is and why it is that we're talking about these things and what the Republicans are going to have the opportunity to help them out with. There's a lot of these areas that over the years have gone very far to the left than they normally would be. And there's more progressiveness going on right now where it's even pulled even further. And a lot can be saying for the right as well. For me in particular, though, I mean, I don't see myself as being someone who stands up for the Constitution, as being somebody who's like super far right, somebody who cares about babies as being super far right. I see myself as just as a human being, and I know how to think. I don't like to being told what to think, and that's not my job to do that to Rhode Islanders either. I'm just going to show them what the choices are and what their opportunity is available through for the upcoming new Rhode Island Republican Party.
Final question. You have all of a sudden a congressional district coming up, and there's been a lot of focus on the Democrats. Are you going to be able to recruit somebody for the Republican seat?
We're working on that now. We actually have had a couple of names that we've talked about here or there, but it's definitely something that's in the forefront of our minds.
It's a challenge, though, isn't it?
It's definitely going to be a challenge. Absolutely.
I mean, it's a pretty liberal district.
To say the least.
A lot more than CD2.
Of course. And then to say the least, that whomever it is that we put it up, it's got to be that super strong candidate. It's got to be somebody that is going to be able to show folks that they have the ability to make an impact. It's no secret that area was, gerrymandered to fit Cicilline for a very long period of time. And that's kind of him walking in and walking out and somebody else with the potential walking in. To say that we'd like to go in there and be the disruptor, I'm not going to lie, it'd be kind of fun. It's going to be a challenge and we're looking forward to it. And then when we do find that right person, I guarantee everyone's going to know about it. That's for sure.